we go. My friend.
Yes, sir.
Steve Perez, how you doing? Thanks for coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite.
So, have you ever heard the story of the two shoe salesmen? They go to an African village?
No.
Okay, so there's two shoe salesmen. And the first guy goes to this African village, and he realizes that no one is wearing any shoes. Mm-hmm. So he goes back to his boss and yells at him. He's like, dude, why'd you send me over there? Nobody is wearing any shoes. The second guy shows up, same village, sees that no one's wearing any shoes. Goes back to his boss and says, thank you so much for sending me to this village. No one there wears shoes. And it's that mindset I think that you and I connect with, and that I know for a fact that you have as well from a business standpoint. And that's the thing. I mean, we've talked for hours before, or not maybe hours, but for lots of time on the phone, just talking about business and whatnot. And that's one of the things that I'm very encouraged to talk to you about, because I know that there's very few people that I've met that I feel, and you can tell me your background here in a minute, that whatever they touch kind of turns into gold. Not to say that there's not any, challenges that they face, but I just know for a fact, and I feel that you're one of those that has been able to be persistent in what they do, not accept failure. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we talked about as far as the Think and Grow Rich book that we just both finished reading, right? Mm-hmm. You first and me after just here recently, but was there's a part that it talks about when these people would go to war and they'd go into this island on a boat or whatever, and they'd burn their boats because they didn't want to give themselves a plan B.
Sure, persistence,
and,
right?
Yeah, and so talk to me about that spirit, or where did that come from? Is this something you've always had, or?
I've been told I've always had it. Man, for the longest time, I started on my own in 2011. So prior to that, I've been in the purchasing industry. I've been a buyer, so I've always dealt with salespeople. Maybe that helped me a little bit. I kind of always saw the other side of it. But even when I did that, I've always had some sort of side gig. I'm talking I talked about this at the office the other day. I think when I was 7, I sold candy at school. So I used to have my mom buy me bubble gum, Wrigley's bubble gum, 10 packs for $1, and I'd sell them for 25 cents each and make $1.50 on each pack. Nice. And I did that probably until high school. Always had money in my pocket, always did that. But then my entrepreneurial, skills or desire went away right after I graduated, and I went to work. And I just worked. I mean, that's all I did, with kind of that lingering in the back of my mind, always wanting to do something. So I had people tell me all the time. I just never knew that I guess I was afraid, right? We were all kind of afraid.
Do you have any family in business?
Zero. Dad worked forever. Mom worked until she retired too, forever. Mm-hmm. Brother, sister, everybody just has jobs. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have that.
It's interesting because a lot of times the people that follow in that entrepreneurial world usually have people that they've kind of mimic or model after. Yeah. And when you don't have that, you just kind of see, well, this is mom and dad did this, so I'll just go into the workforce and start doing it. Sure.
And I try to think of the psychology behind that. Did not having a lot make me want more? Not really. I just kind of had it in me. I don't know why. So again, maybe my mom taught me that when we're selling gum, and she taught me that, hey, you better pay me and I'll buy the gum and then you can sell it. But not until late in life, maybe 2011. So how long ago was that? 13 years ago? I'm bad at math. So not till I was 35, I guess. Yeah. People started telling me, dude, a buddy of mine who has a record business, he told me, your biggest regret's going to be not doing it sooner. I've been telling you that for 10 years. Yeah. So finally I started something on the side, started just doing side gigs, and that turned into full-time gigs, maybe like your story. I don't know exactly how you started, but I've always felt like I've had it, just never had the opportunity.
Was Alamo Steam Team the first business you started?
No. I had a janitorial business. Well, it just so happened one of my contractors in purchasing, I worked for a check printer here in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Probably the only check printer, but checks were fading away, and so I was a buyer. My job was on a time limit. My janitorial company was fixing to go out of business and told me, hey, we're going to call it quits. We can't do this anymore. And I realized that they had great margins. It was just lack of management. So I had told him, hey, what if I joined you? He'd love it. He loved the idea. Let's grow this. So I talked to my boss, and said, I'm fixing to probably be laid off at some point. She agreed. It'd be nice to get rid of me gracefully, and could I still keep this account? She said yes. So I took that and started Alamo Building Maintenance, and that was a janitorial business that I ran for a while.
Oh, okay. So that was first.
That was first. And then I used to subcontract carpet cleaners out, and then realizing it's very hard to rely on subcontractors. So I bought my own truck mount van and hired a kid to help me clean carpets and learn it. And that's what started Alamo's team.
Were you actually cleaning carpets?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for many years. I still do some work today. I still love working and doing things. I just don't hold a very active role anymore. We have a crew. I have an operations manager, and they kind of do their thing now. So
where did you learn the business side of it, though, as far as like being able to scale up and you know, especially not having that background?
Lots of failures, lots of mistakes. Yeah, lots of wasted money, lots of wasted time. I didn't get into books until recently. You and I talked about that. I wish I would have read more and listened a little more. I've been fortunate enough to meet people who kind of like I met you, just like me right away, and then see where I'm struggling. And hey, Steve, you ought to consider doing this, and you ought to consider doing this. And why don't you start a carpet cleaning company and diversify and have two things going on at once? So I've had some good mentors in my life just by chance, really. I mean, I'm sure God's intervention, right? But
for sure.
I no formal, nothing. I did a San Antonio boot camp. I don't know if most people have who started their own business, but City of San Antonio offers a little boot camp that gives you a little bit of help with QuickBooks, and then you need to have an attorney, you need to have a tax guy, you need to have all those things, but just self-taught, man. So
does your wife help you?
She does.
From the very beginning? Or just
no, Laura came on, I would guess maybe 6 years into my journey, something like that. She knows the dates more than I do.
So she's the math person?
She is.
She's the numbers one?
I'm better at math, but she's in charge of the numbers, yeah. She keeps everything going. She's in charge of Alamo's team for sure.
Okay.
And then the money and the payroll side of Alamo building maintenance. Gotcha. I go out and work and then do what I'm better. Talking to customers, entertaining with customers, engaging.
I think that's your strong suit right there, is being able to kind of just hook up, connect with people, network, and just make all these important connections. And it's really, I think that's the most vital part. As far as entrepreneurs concerned, to build your brand, your business, is you have to be out there connecting, meeting people, and forming these relationships, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you and I probably think that's the easiest part.
It is. It's the most natural for me.
It is. Me too. It's having lunch with somebody, having breakfast with somebody.
Yeah.
I like people. I like talking to people. I like being around people. So that's the easiest part for me. So I gravitate towards that versus sitting in the office, working on my numbers, doing things like that. So that's what I have Laura for. She helps me a lot with that.
Yeah. I'm still very involved. How big is your team now? I know Joe runs your Alamo's team.
We have 8. And the only reason I know that is because every day we put $1 in a little kitty and we gamble every day, every morning. We hand out cards and somebody takes home $8. So there's 8 of us in that
doesn't even cover lunch, bro.
That doesn't. Well, we're all on diets right now, so it's a light lunch. But there's 8 of us in that business, and then Laura and I share ourselves with Alamo Building Maintenance. And then I have 2 other guys over there, but most of those are subcontractors, just kind of similar to what you use to hire to do certain things.
So Alamo Building Maintenance, what do they specifically focus on now?
General contractor. So there's a lot of us out there.
So you've elevated more to GC work.
Yes.
Awesome.
99%. I sold the janitorial side of that 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm coming up on year 2 in May. No more janitorial accounts.
Oh, wow.
So part of that agreement was that I don't no compete, right? I don't do any more janitorial, and I stick to the general contracting side. So my big customers are Circle K, CVS, and I'm doing tons of general contracting stuff.
Nice.
Whether it's putting up bollards or rehanging signs, painting, things like that. So which all requires subcontractors. That's what we're doing for that.
So the janitorial services open up the door for all the GC stuff?
Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. Yeah. Well, it's crazy how everything works if you think about it.
Oh yeah, man. These are moments that you can always look back on and say, you know, this situation, instance, or whatever, opened up the door to this.
Moments of truth is what there's a company in our industry, in the carpet cleaning industry, that calls those moments of truth, right? When I'm walking up to a customer's door, I can sit on the phone and I can pull up to the house and be on my phone for about 5 minutes, or I can just walk straight up. Those are moments of truth. Each of those each of those times are moments of truth that are going to change the outcome of what happens next. So you're right. I mean, that's what we call those.
I call some of mine silver linings, right? Where I always find a positive in the negative.
Sure.
And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. I've talked about it before, but like when I went off on my own, I was 32 years old, and I was always in business at a young age. And to kind of answer your question as far as, how I got into this, I kind of did have an entrepreneurial family. My mom's been very business oriented.
She had janitorial, right?
Yeah, she does cleaning and make readies and does a lot of new construction work. And on my dad's side of the family, my grandfather, he was a migrant worker. He actually, it's got a long story, but he learned, and he was a hard worker. He just learned throughout the years. He had 9 kids, and he literally would take most of the older ones, like up west, northwest, and take them to go actually migrate.
He probably needed to, right?
Yeah, that's what he needed to do. But over the years, he actually just developed his business skills and eventually became, very, very fluent in what he did just by hard work and just that spirit. But that actually just kind of resonated with me. I've got a couple uncles that are also that have that entrepreneurial spirit. So at an early age, I always did that. Unfortunately, when in high school or when I was little, I didn't sell gum, but I would always play cards with my friends and take their money. But anyway, so I was finding a way to make money back then. But fast forward though, when I actually went into business with someone and I was in it for 12 years. And when I decided to go off on my own at 32 years old, it was just kind of a restart, a reset, if you will. But in regards to the silver lining, one of the first jobs that I ended up getting was a project on base, and this guy had hired me. And long story short, it was a small project that he subbed me out to do, but he just never paid me. And he actually never paid any of his other subs. But as I was doing this project, and it was like a $15,000, $16,000.
So he should have paid you, but he just...
Should have paid me. But it was a short 45, 60-day project. But I was so committed to finishing this job. And I actually got to meet some of the prime contractors that hired him. And they got to like what I did and how we did it. And they're like, man, unfortunately, you kind of got brought in through this guy that screwed you over. And, I learned my lesson there. But I actually was able to meet, this new opportunities and these new contractors that basically opened the door for me to grow and be essentially where I'm at today. It's those steps, though, at an early age that I had to kind of endure. The silver lining, I could have been, and honestly, man, there were so many times that I just wanted to walk off the job. But the reason why I stuck to it, because I'm very committed to finish what I started, and I just felt like this need and a passion to just do right and we were doing good, because I would always get this reassurance from the prime contractors. They literally would say, man, you guys are doing a great job.
That was your motivation, right?
Yeah, you're like, man, it's little subtle things that they'd say, like, man, these walls look straight, because we had built some walls. But that's when I learned all the construction side of it back then. And I always, in one of the things that I learned, especially back then, was just having these high standards, or learning to kind of make sure we keep these standards that are always elevating, and one of the guys that worked with me, when we did our final walk on that job, we actually said a prayer, and we were like, man, we know we did. God, we know we did what the best we could do.
The best you can do.
And, hopefully this final walkthrough goes well, right? And sure enough, it did. And my driving force is always just to do the best I can, be the best that I can be. And I never got paid from that job.
Yeah,
but the silver lining was that, or the moments of truth, like you said, is that I got these opportunities to kind of, do these other projects to these other guys. But
hindsight, it was probably a small price to pay for
sure
for where you're at.
Well, I don't
right?
know. The hindsight for sure. At the moment, it was like, man, I needed money. I needed, but it was just I was willing to, and I've always been kind of a risk taker. I was willing to just take that gamble of like, I had hope and faith that I was still going to be able to collect later at the time, but I never did, like I said. But like I said, it opened up the doors to so many more possibilities. And
was that a lot of money back then?
For sure, it still is $15,000, $16,000. You're not going to walk away from that.
Yeah.
But back then was a ton, especially for me starting off fresh again. Because one of my failures,
because you didn't ask for draws or anything.
No,
back
they
then,
don't.
Right?
They didn't do that. I mean, most of the government stuff although I guess with this particular mid-level GC that hired me, I probably could have gotten money, but it's just a different format in how they pay, it's just something that you learn from. But that for me was for sure, like to your point, with the moments of truth of when you look back, it's like, okay, this is the way.
This is the time, right? Yeah,
for sure.
No, and with me, I know exactly what kind of helped my family, right? And Laura and I, we have a 27-year-old daughter who we're not responsible anymore. She's on her own. She does her own things, so she's not our major responsibility anymore.
Just one?
Yeah. Okay. And so, but what the biggest takeoff financially in our lives was Hurricane Harvey, 2017. I'd already been in business quite a bit, and we've done okay. We've been doing things, working hard, buying buildings. I mean, just working hard. Hurricane Harvey hit. A buddy of mine was running a restoration business down south, and told me, "Hey, I know you mentioned you want an opportunity. This is the opportunity. There's going to be tons of work down there. If you want to come learn, come work. So I'm going to do things for free." He's basically telling me, you're going to have to come for free on your own dime. You better go buy equipment. You better buy a trailer. Yeah. You better just show up and you might be able to make some money. You should have a good opportunity to make some money. So I went. I bought, I don't know, probably $15,000 worth of equipment and took a trailer down there all by myself and took off. That ended up coming to meeting somebody, to an apartment complex job that you helped me with, actually.
Right, I remember, yeah.
That my bill was my highest bill, and I think still is my highest bill, $1,047,000. Wow. And with some decent margin, I mean, that really kicked it for us.
Did that elevate you think, to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then with a little more backing, with less stress, I think you can be a lot more successful.
For sure.
So I know.
Well, you get less scared and less fearful, absolutely. And then you're able to kind of essentially start parlaying that.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people think, well, you don't have to have money to succeed. You don't. I didn't.
Right.
But it's helpful. It helps. So paying everything off. I mean, we owed nobody. I just grabbed that money and I sent it to everybody we owed.
Awesome.
And that just makes it easier now to take risks, to take chances.
For sure.
Is that we don't have those worries. Mm-hmm. God forbid if we didn't get any work for 2 months, I'm still okay.
Right.
But nobody would work for 2 months. But I don't have bills. I don't have to pay anybody. So we've been blessed on that.
Yeah. Did you learn a lot though at starting at 35 from the prior years in your 20s and just working for someone else? Like, what was the thing that really, really kind of made you think, this is why I want to go off on my own? I mean, other than working for people and seeing them make money, but you know what I mean?
My friends, right? I mean, having my friends who had their own businesses, and sounds rude, but I thought, God, these dummies can do it. I mean, why can't I do it? and really, that's the truth, right? Like, right. You think, oh my God, and having contractors, having vendors, mm-hmm. because I was in purchasing, mm-hmm. just seeing these guys not really paying attention to how much money they have. That really wasn't a deal. I guess I should have. I should have looked at, man, they're making this much. Maybe I can do something, but I didn't. That wasn't. It's probably a good thing, right? I wasn't going after the money first. Mm-hmm. I just liked the time that they had, and they just seemed to be in a better mood than me, showing up 8 to 5 every day,
right?
Making a decent salary, but that also holds you back. And you don't have the same story, but that held me back a lot. I was very well compensated, enough to where I can go play golf every day, and
you get comfortable,
very comfortable.
Right,
yeah, right. Had a cush job, and hindsight, that probably hurt me. So I try to teach people now, man, you got to get rid of that cush job and do something that challenges you, because you're going to regret it later. And I regret probably playing golf too much back then. I should play golf now. But
yeah, we should.
But I don't as much.
It's funny because I didn't play golf back then as much as I do now.
Really? Yeah.
The thing that we all have in common, though, man, is that ability to take that chance and that risk, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what's cool, because one of my good friends that I've known since high school, he actually, I've been able to see him and witness him parlay everything that he's at an early age done from at 19, 20 years old, starting a business on his own, from owning basically a little Dippin' Dot ice cream shop at the mall to ice creams to buying into elevating from there, buying into like a watch store, and then doing an online thing, and then getting into the phone business, and then buying into the real estate, and then exponentially just parlay, and to now being a super, big time real estate developer down south. And him and I talk, every once in a while. But the thing is he's been smart, right, with what he's done with his time and the resources he's had. And I don't like when people say, "Oh, well, this guy's lucky," or "This guy, he fell into that," or whatever. No, man, everyone takes that chance. Everyone takes that risks. Some people take a bigger risk, right? Sure. You can use the analogy of gambling, right? If you're playing cards, or some people are
calculated
comfortable.
Risk, right?
Some people are only comfortable betting $5 a hand or $100, but it's what are you willing to risk?
Absolutely.
For that return.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that I admire about you as well, because especially now,
my gambling skills.
No, the risk taking skills. But I know that you're not done with where you're at. Like, what's your goals now moving forward? You're still relatively young. And one of the things I like about that book, one of the takeaways that the Think and Grow Rich, basically pointed out, is a lot of men basically don't succeed until they're into the 40 and 60,
40 to 60.
40 and 60-year-old bracket. I mean,
makes you feel better, right?
Well, I mean, no, not that I'm older, but
well, it makes you feel better that
I don't like when I check off that bracket when this is, are you in the age group between 45 and 55 or 45 and above? I'm like, whatever, but it does make you, because one of the fears that it talks about too is fear of getting older, right?
Yeah, death too, all that.
And that actually is what holds people back, because they think, well, I'm too old to do this. I'm too old to take that chance. Man, if anything, most successful people in any business, you can look it up, are in their late 40s or 50s before they actually become or elevate to that next level.
Yeah, it's just wisdom, right? I mean, we get smarter.
Sure.
We've done a bunch of things that we know not to take those chances anymore. To elevate yourself. But what are my goals? Man, you're gonna ask me some tough questions. I do plan on growing Alamo Steam Team. That's kind of the new one that we have. We're at a point right now where we haven't had growth in a few years, and a lot of these books are teaching me, like, you're either growing or you're not growing, right? So my devotion's to grow that right now. Like, I really, really need to decide what we're going to do there. Is this, we're going to make a big go at this, or is it going to be something I'm going to grow to sell and then do something else? And when I say sell, I mean like have my nephew run it and just keep a small part of it and do something else. But just like you, I finished reading those books. I'm on another one with Ed Milet, and you would like it. The Power of One More.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm about 3/4 way done with that one.
Nice.
And now you got me on these darn books, man. I find that's all I'm listening to.
I just really started recently.
Me too.
And I was telling a friend of mine, it's never too late, obviously, but it's been cool. I wish I kind of now I just have this curiosity to learn about a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And to learn new things. And I've always been a challenge with being able to retain, and just kind of you read and you forget.
You've been able to? You've been challenged with it?
I've been challenged by it in the past. Well, I haven't been as intentful as I am now with reading, but I also write down and I journal and I take notes. It's one thing that I started doing more of is literally just writing down takeaways, thoughts of everything that I read, or even meetings or whatnot, so I can kind of reflect. But there's also something to writing it down because it helps you retain it. But going back to Alamo Steam Team.
And going back to goals, too, because I did want to finish that.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So if you read the book, you realize, and I talked to my wife about this, one of the things I struggle with, so I'm sure other entrepreneurs can relate, is that I'm at a pretty happy place in my life. I have my own boat. I get to go to Africa and go hunting. I've done some fun things. We've gone to Greece. We've done a bunch of things. Every time I do something, I get nervous on what am I going to do after that? So in the book, it says you need a definite desire, like a quantifying desire. So I want $1 million. And you have to quantify it. And then what are you going to do to get there? I don't have a huge desire. I don't know if it's contentment, if it's some sort of inner peace. But I tell people, well, that's good. I said, not necessarily. That's not necessarily a good thing to not have a strong desire.
Right.
So I can quantify something. So I'm working on that. I'm struggling a little bit internally on that desire.
Yeah.
What exactly do I want next?
So the thing with that book, though, if you're talking about Think and Grow Rich, right? Because it specifically kind of points that out. You got to also recognize the time that it was written is right
1937.
After the Great Depression, and so everyone's kind of essentially at this low point.
Yes.
So I think the author Napoleon Hill is trying to encourage people like, okay, well, you can get back to maybe where you were, or if you've never been there, you can get there by following these certain steps, having these desires, this thinking process, right? But if you fast forward, there's other desires besides the money that you can still kind of achieve.
You're right.
And goals that you can kind of target.
Yep.
So that was one of my takeaways also, because it's not necessarily,
no doubt, you're right.
I think money for me is not, I've been blessed and very comfortable where I'm at in my life. Do I want, do I have higher goals? For sure, right? And it's not necessarily all monetary related, but there's a sense of freedom, obviously, right? When you're able to do now stuff like this, or where you're able to kind of maybe get away and try to, encourage others, network more, and now you give. Exactly. Now you're not in that hustling, you're grinding mode all the time where you got to work.
No doubt. Yeah.
I still like to work.
Me too.
But, now I'm like, well, I like this too, but I feel like my goals have kind of changed, past couple, even 2 or 3 months.
And do you have a definite written down desire?
No.
So you're in my boat.
Well, I just finished the book, bro. Give me a chance.
Okay, no, I understand. But that's where I'm at, and you're right.
Yeah.
And so it's not the money thing, because what else do I want? I mean, I don't want. I feel guilty saying those things sometimes.
Sure.
But I'd like my people to make more money. I'd like to see all of my employees thrive and have houses and have nice cars and have the things that they want. But it goes specific. You got to be specific about this goal. So again,
no doubt.
I'm struggling a little bit with that. I'm working on it, and I'm hoping to have a good answer for you pretty soon as far as a goal.
The one thing I like about the book also, I don't know if you caught this part at the end, where he had a cabinet of invisible counselors.
Oh, he should talk to them.
And it's interesting because like when I was little, this is kind of corny, but
talk to an imaginary friend.
I had a few
So
of
it
them.
sounds like we're going there.
No, but I've always had like this competitive spirit. But I would play sometimes. I grew up an only child until I was 15. My mom had 2 half brothers. But for the longest time, I was an only kid. I'd hang out with my cousins and whatnot. But I would always play these games in whether by myself, but I always compete with some of my friends in my head, like doing certain things and dumb little things when I was little. But it kind of brought me back to that time of thinking, okay, well, if you have a cabinet of invisible counselors, who are those people that are gonna? And this is like, not real people, obviously.
Well,
like
it's Carnegie, it's Henry Ford, it's George Washington.
And so who are those people that are gonna elevate you and that you can refer to and reflect on? And so honestly, now if we kind of maybe manifest it into a human form, it talks about mastermind groups.
We talked about that. I reached out to you.
Yeah. So and then you're definitely one of those too that I would look forward to
I appreciate
and actually be encouraged by. And so that's important for us to have. And I'm really looking forward to building that with you as well.
Me too.
But that was cool. The takeaway there was just kind of having just people that maybe in your past or other mentors, or it could be friends or whatever, that you could kind of just mentally think about every night. It's like, man, how can I get encouraged by this person or that person? Or it could be history figures. But then that's also part of the wanting to learn more, right?
Absolutely.
And learn more about some of these real successful, entrepreneurs in the world. And
we all have stories, and I like hearing them. I could understand you liking this platform, what you're doing, because it's very encouraging. It's fun.
Oh man, I get it to hear people and their challenges and where they're coming from, their goals. It helps me. If anything, it's more selfish on
I'm
my
sure most
end.
of your guests want to ask you the questions, but you're the host. So
No, but I do want to backtrack to Alamo Steam Team, because I think that's a really successful company that you've had so far. And what I know, you all specialize in carpet cleaning specifically. Is there anything, any specialty also that y'all other do?
So basically carpet, any hard surface, tile and grout, natural stone, some of the things you sell. We've started getting into wood floors, and that's I know you're big on wood floors. Upholstery, mattresses, air duct cleaning, anything that's pretty much going to help you sanitize, keep cleans outside of maid service.
Gotcha.
So outside of your house cleaner, we do all the specialized cleaning and all
Rug
the furniture.
cleaning also?
Oriental rug cleaning is another big one that we are right now actively working on separating.
Okay.
So that's been a business decision that Joe and I are making. He's my operations manager. He's come to me and we're going to separate that division, like truly separate it. Its own marketing budget, its own company name, its own everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because we want to focus more on that. Getting into the business a little bit, the profit margins are better on those. There's a lot less risk. I don't send guys out in dangerous weather, driving 40 miles each way. People bring their rugs to us. We clean them on site. We're able to control things.
You have a warehouse that does that?
Yeah, we have a shop. We've been fortunate enough to have a nice shop with a facility, a rug plant. They call them rug plants. Okay. So we're able to control the cleaning, the drying, and everything. So we're really pushing that. That's a big focus for us going forward.
What separates you, though, from your competitors as far as like carpet cleaning? Because, I mean, it seems like there's a dime a dozen carpet cleaners.
There are. There's very few with as much education as my guys have, as much training. They come and go. And a lot of it is because of their low-budget cleaners. We are absolutely not. If there was a spectrum, we'd be on the opposite end. So we're probably one of the highest, the higher priced cleaners in town. But we have our niche. We have our customers that expect that they want that. And so it's really worked for us. This is the direction that Joe's taken that company. He's flown with it. It's done really, really well with that. So I don't even compare ourselves to a lot of those guys anymore. There are a few big competitors that we have in town that really have rug plants. There's only one other one. I'm not afraid. It's Aladdin. They have a big rug plant here in town, and they are by far innovators in the industry. They're very good at what they do. So we're just after a piece of the pie as well.
Right.
So we're trying to grow that business because there's a great market share there.
It's interesting because like when you have a niche of clients, you seem to start attracting that same clientele, right? Like that aren't afraid to spend money, because once you start establishing a good reputation, you know, whether by reviews or based on your work and what you do, then you start getting customers that aren't afraid to pay for that value.
Absolutely. No doubt.
I think that's more important than I would always say. And it's funny because one of the things that I learned when I was at early age, being in business, the way I used to market myself, this is when I was not by myself, but when I was with someone else, we would always kind of market ourselves as the cheapest in town. And that was the wrong way of doing it.
Now that you think about it,
you
got volume.
Back in the day, we would do advertisements in the newspapers and stuff like that. But then it's a different clientele. It's a different clientele as opposed to. And then we slowly kind of changed our marketing strategy. And then it's like we actually need to market more on the service, the value of what we're doing, and because people are willing to pay for that. So.
Yeah, and the people that aren't, they're not your customer anyway. I mean, there's definitely a Lowe's where I can go get carpet and flooring from Lowe's, right? And that's not going to compare to something that you guys do. Same thing with carpet cleaning. There's definitely a market for a lower end carpet cleaner. I'm not taking that away. It's just not what my guys want. I mean, my guys would rather do 2 jobs a day than hustle and bustle and knock out 6 jobs for the same amount of pay. They want to take their time. They want to do every step. They want to apply Scotch Guard to every job like you're supposed to, and just really take their time doing that. So it's worked out well for us, and
good. It's just working smarter too. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So Alamo Steam Team, you're building that, and that's something Joe's running with, and then Alamo Building Maintenance, you're running that.
I personally run Alamo Building Maintenance.
Gotcha.
Books, Laura handles all that stuff, but I'm out every day. I'm actually hiring somebody. He starts Monday. I'm looking really forward to it because my phone blows up all day from needs from my customers. So it's just general contractor. When are we putting up bollards at this store? When is it commercial? It's all commercial. Okay. Yeah, 100% commercial. Yeah, I don't do any residential with Alamo Building Maintenance. I don't think I will.
Okay.
Commercial keeps us busy enough.
What's your vision with that company?
You put me on the spot. I don't have one yet. How about that? I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah. That one, I'm not doing a good job of working on my business. I'm working in it way too much. And so I'm doing baby steps. First one is hiring somebody to help me. And he starts Monday. I got to get some things off my plate so that I can work on my business because I'm not working on it. I'm being reactive. For the last year, I've been reactive, and I have to get past that. It's hard, right? I mean, you know, and you've been blessed. You've had just the one business.
Right.
Right.
Well, no, I've got my online store that I started during COVID.
Correct. And
but it kind of correlates to that.
Yeah, and so it's hard working on your business when you're so busy working in it, especially when the monies are good, right? Like you're making money, you're working hard, but sometimes I feel like an employee just because I'm just going out there and making the money myself. So I'm going to work on that and hire somebody and then think about where I want to take that. But I have to do one thing at a time. I'm really good at doing that. Whether it's a big project, I only look at one thing at a time. And so when you ask me that question, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. But you've been real decisive, right? In your choices and how you do things, right?
Yeah, that's part of the book, right? I mean,
that's
decision making.
That's part of your skill set.
I think so. That's probably my strong point is that I'm able to make some pretty good decisions pretty quick.
What's your weakest point?
Procrastination, probably, like putting some things off. I mean, I'm big at putting the easy things off, and just I'll get to that eventually because it doesn't bring in revenue. It's not that important. Changing insurance companies, something like that. I know I've needed to look at that, and I just haven't done it. Weaknesses.
So it's just some of the small things sometimes.
A lot of small things, but small things make up the big things, right?
Can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
What and so let me ask you this: How has faith helped you in your business, if at all? I mean, is that something you lean on or talk about much?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure if this book is the same book, but the opposite of faith. Do you know what that is?
Fear.
Okay. Is it Think and Grow Rich or is that the Go Giver?
Yeah. There's only a space for one. It's either faith or fear.
Okay. And so I'm a big believer in that. And that just comes with me naturally. So outside of the church. I'm just I don't fear much. I'm not afraid of and you're right, it was Think and Grow Rich. I'm not afraid of growing old. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of not succeeding because I've not succeeded my whole life. So I mean I'll be just fine. I'm not really afraid of anything. So faith in itself comes really easy to me. I have a lot of faith that everything's going to work out. And I mean everything. My phone can blow up and I'm at the airport about to board a plane and they tell me that this contractor walked off the job site, and I said, okay, well, I'll call him when I land.
Wait, is this when you were on your way to Africa?
No, I'm making this up.
Because that's a long trip. Yeah, you're like probably having.
Well, I just think everything will work out. I really don't get too nervous. Nothing rattles me. Yeah. That's another pretty strong trait I guess I have. Really, what's going to happen is my customer's going to get upset for a little bit.
So you weren't fearful about the apocalypse yesterday?
I was not. No, I made fun of it. I took some videos and I was laughing at everything.
I didn't even go outside. My wife got all mad because at my office, I don't know. Maybe it was something I should have paid more attention to, but I was just like, don't we have these like every several years? Like, no, it's like every whatever. And
I thought every 7 years. That's Haley's comment, I think, or I comment. I don't know.
I was in the office and they were all outside, and I open the door, I see people standing outside. Whatever. I'll go back inside. I was like, whatever. But you hear all the stories, and even my kid was like, Dad, there's like the cicadas are coming, and the earthquakes, and of course, if you watch TikTok, everything kind of lining up for the end of the world. I said, just
nothing happened.
I said, just go to school, do your homework.
Yeah. Nothing happened. No, that's faith, right? And I have faith that I don't believe in any of that stuff. I cooked out yesterday for the employees, and we made it a thing.
Okay.
Just because it's a fun thing to do, and we try to keep engagement up at work. Yeah. But I don't have time, probably like you, to really think about negative. Right. And I talked to my daughter about that the other day. I was trying to kind of teach her a little bit about the book, and I told you that I'm struggling with talking to people and them not wanting to be taught. And you said, how do you know they want to be taught? And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like sometimes I feel like I need to hold back, but I was teaching her. She's my daughter. She has to listen, right? So I was trying to teach her about all the negative things about the locusts or whatever you're talking about, the cicadas, and who cares about all those things, really? Like, there's so much good out there, and there's like, I'm focused on the wrong thing. So I don't know about those things very much. I've done a real good job focusing on what I need to focus on, because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot.
Well, I think that to your point, if you spend more time kind of feeding your mind with positivity, whether it's reading or just talking to other encouraging people, I think we get more benefit of that, because I think the more we try to spread more good, so I personally, am a faithful person, and I like to. Sometimes, I'll share some testimony about my walk with God, and how my relationship has grown here more recently. But I feel like a new purpose now that I have is to just go out and try to encourage people. Listen, I'm not a big religious dude, and for me, it's more about relationships, and building relationships. Do
you
that's
wish you
where
were?
I know a guy comes from. No, I don't. As far as religious,
Yeah. Do you? Sometimes I wish if nothing more, we like to learn things, right? If nothing more, I wish I knew more things
for sure
regarding the Bible. And so you talked about Bible study, and my wife and I do try to go to church every time I'm in town. I have excuses, just like everybody has excuses. So I don't go all the time,
right.
But I do like going. It's very selfish. I like going for selfish reasons because it makes me feel great. I have a wonderful Sunday. I get to reflect on my blessings, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I need to do it more, and I want to learn more because I don't feel like I learned enough in catechism. I don't know if you took that when you were young, but I took catechism as a kid, and I feel like I've lost touch with a lot of that. So I do plan on going back to it.
Well, I think with this newfound spirit of wanting to learn, for me, it's helped learning scripture because it's helped make me a better person because I need to work on myself first before I can help others.
Sure.
And in having this relationship that I feel like I have a stronger now with God helps me guard myself, with the challenges that you face every day, all the negativity, right?
Absolutely.
And but also, now wanting to learn about other people, and reading books and whatnot. It's just amazing how if you're feeding your spirit with good stuff, you're able to kind of regurgitate good stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And some people are just so sometimes fed with all this negativity, whether it's the news or...
Are you fed with that? Like, do you keep up with that? I've gotten really good at I don't keep up with it at all. Like my wife was telling me the other day, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's not like me. I used to. Politics.
Yeah.
500, we talked about this. Right. KTSA, that's all I listened to. Yeah. The other day, I turned it on for literally because I said, I can't listen to nothing but books.
Yeah.
I need to.
Well, it's a good way to get you fired up and wake you up. Get you all rattled
up. To listen to nonsense. So I put it on nonsense for a little bit. And it took all of 3 minutes before I said, oh my God, now I know I stopped listening to you because you're just ranting and raving about the world and all that.
Right. Well, I think because the part of the problem that I find that when you're constantly, surrounding yourself with all the stuff that's going around the world is such divisive time, right? And you could argue that it's always been divisive, right?
True.
And what I want to bring to the table, I want to be able to be a bridge, and close the gap between me and someone else that maybe have a different philosophical opinion when it comes to politics or religion or whatever. But my goal is not to debate or argue someone's politics or their thoughts. Is like I actually would rather learn where they come from, right? Why they think that way, their perception of why they have certain feelings, right? And now on the one hand, not kind of being engaged with all the outside noise is good in the sense that, you don't get distracted, but then you kind of, to your point, you don't really know what's going on around the world.
I don't.
Which is not a bad thing. But I'll listen to certain podcasts, that kind of touch base on some of the top stories going around that have different perspectives,
Sure.
I don't like to just be funneled into like one way of
But you don't watch the nightly news on who got shot.
Dude, I haven't seen that forever.
I had this conversation with my family this weekend, and they were saying, well, yeah, but you got to be on guard. You got to be aware of your surroundings. And I said, or do you? I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, I'm not worried. I have faith that
you don't want to,
I'm going to be just fine.
The one thing I do push back on is that you do want to know what's going on, right? Because you don't want to live in a bubble where you don't know what's going on around the world. So you got to kind of somewhat have an idea. But there's a lot of meaningless things that are going to affect what you do every day, right?
Correct.
Like every day we got to wake up, go to work, kick ass, do it again the next day. Yeah. So I don't want to get distracted and be discouraged by, what's going on.
No, I'm not going to go to work because there's an eclipse coming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I understand.
No, I know you're one of your if you're not fishing, you're either hunting, right? That's your getaways?
It is. Fishing more, just because there's a larger fishing season here in Texas.
That's a good way to get away from the noise, right?
Absolutely. And you're right. I do that. Sometimes I forget that I have my vices, right? And
that's not a vice.
Fishing is one. No, you're right. It's not a vice. Fishing is my way to get away. And I've done it. I'm doing it less just because I've been really into this book reading and improvement part of my life, I guess. I don't know if you're going through the same
You're
thing.
looking for more balance or what?
I guess I think I told you this. I'm going through something, and I tell people that, and they think it's weird. I'm going through something right now in my life. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I have a little less interest in my hobbies and more interest in my business, which is a good thing.
Sure.
For a long time there, I was on autopilot and letting the business run itself with the janitorial. And everything was on autopilot. And all I did was collect a check. So I did a lot of fishing. Now I want to be more involved. I sold the janitorial accounts, so now I just have the GC. 30 less employees. So I told you I have 8, which Joe runs. So I don't have much to worry about, but I want to be a lot more involved now. So I do fish a lot less. Hunting, I try to do hunting as much as I can, but it's a shorter season.
Tell me about that. I know that you got a gem spot. And
I got 9 animals. So
dude, okay, time out. I saw some of these pictures, and they're amazing. So my question is, where the hell are you going to put all these mounts? Are you going to get a new house?
To my wife, all in one room.
They're not going to fit in your office, bro.
No, they're not. I'm gonna.
I like that sable too, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was my trophy. That was my prize one. But realistically, I'm hoping with your help to remodel my house a little bit, just because we love where we're at in San Antonio. Every time we think about moving, we'll go on this little trip, and we'll look all around San Antonio, and we like this, and then we realize it's 40 minutes from San Antonio, and we end up coming back. So realistically, we're not going anywhere. We're on the golf course, which you would love, and we're not going to go anywhere. So we need to remodel our house. I want to make our dining room, which is a useless room,
to a trophy room.
Well, it's right next to my office, so to a trophy/cigar, which you can't smoke in room, some kind of theme like that. My wife has some ideas with it, but that'd be a good sized room for a lot of my trophies, a pool table, things like that. And then my office at the shop. I like to have talking pieces where people come visit me and they see hey, you went here, and where'd you shoot that at? And I enjoy that conversation. So.
Had you been to Africa before?
Never.
Wow. Yeah, so that was the trip. Obviously, you had a blast.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
How long were you there for?
We were there in Africa for like 8 days. I think the total trip was like 11 days worth of travel.
Sure.
You go back in the future and you come back and you gain time and lose time, but I think it was 11 days. That's a long time.
For sure.
We had just went to Greece before that, so those 2 trips, we've never taken a trip longer than 4 days. Wow. And then we went on a 2-week trip to Greece, and then I went on a 11-day trip to Africa. So
nice.
I'm traveled out for a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's a good getaway, man. Africa.
It was great, man. It was, and nowadays, I mean, I'm sure you know, it's so easy to conduct business from this cell phone thing that we have, right? Yeah. So while I'm away, I mean, you still get time to touch base, to make sure how everybody's going. Does anybody need anything? So I conducted a little bit of business out there. I don't think I'll ever shut off completely because I want to, not because I have to, but I like to stay engaged and make sure everybody's okay. But it definitely was a reset. It was great time.
That's a long time. That's actually hard for me to do, get away with just...
Because you can or because you don't want to?
No, I want to.
You do?
I want to. I think what I am doing now, especially this kind of renewed mindset, and reading these books and talking to successful people like you, is because everyone that I've sat here in front of, most of them have scaled up and in growing. Been able to trust other people to help, right?
Sure.
And part of my problem that I've had is I've been screwed before by people. And I mean, I had one of the first hires we had when I went off on my own. I had a lady working for me who was pregnant, which when I hired her, I didn't know she was pregnant, but I hired her and then found out a few weeks later
she's
pregnant.
Fat.
Well, I didn't tell her that, but I just noticed something, right? And then, but then a few weeks later, she basically was writing checks to her name and embezzled close to $6,000. And I caught it because I would always go on my online account and see. I was like, man, this looks weird. This is off. This is off. And she was forging my name. And
so you're gun shy.
Well, yeah. So you get screwed like that right off the bat, and now you're like worried about who's going to work for you, right? And it took me a while to find someone else, and then anyway, it's just been a little bit of a challenge, and just kind of me now, just really getting away from my own self
to delegate.
And
you've never had and so I do think that having some corporate experience has kind of rounded me
For sure.
a little more in that I've been a leader in the corporate world. So I've delegated before.
Yeah.
So that really wasn't a hard transition for me. That's not something I can really give great advice on because it's not hard for me to trust other people. Yeah. I keep certain departments and certain things that I oversee. I oversee all the numbers. Laura handles certain things, but as far as the other functions, I think I'm pretty easy to delegate, and that could be maybe something I guess that you're trying to get past. And
for sure, that's definitely been my weakness because I feel like I have to control everything, do everything, and I have a hard time letting go, and so I work too much in my business as opposed to being on it.
On it, yeah.
And so that is something that I am working on.
But you're working on right now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're and hopefully hire somebody soon.
For sure, and my assistant unfortunately is stepping away also. So now I got to find 2 people right off the bat.
Just like that.
And maybe
it might be easier though.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes it's just kind of pruning and kind of just finding the right people for the right seats in the bus, like they say, and so this is going to be again silver lining, right?
Absolutely. No, you're going to
find a way to make it a positive, but. I don't know, man. I get inspired by entrepreneurs like you. I'm so glad that you took the time to come out. I know you were kind of nervous about it. You did really good. No, you did good, man. And I'm just excited about your future endeavors and look forward to hearing more about your vision and that you're still working on. And then
the vision that you don't know, that you can't see yet.
And just kind of still chatting with you off of this, man, and just helping each other and working our little mastermind group and getting people to help us with that.
Me as well. If there's anything I can do as well, man. I mean, I'm here for any of you or any of your guests. I mean, I think that we all kind of need to stick together, right? I mean, we're the small guys in this big business world. We're not Walmarts. We're not academies, and we're not these guys. We need to kind of help each other out as much as we can. So yeah, I'd be glad to.
So if anyone knows or needs someone to come in and clean their carpets, I will definitely know a guy that does that. If anybody has commercial GC work that they need help with, I can definitely say that I know a guy.
And I know
Steve
a guy.
Perez. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.